Okay, we're live. How cool is that?
All right. Thank you so much, Arthur, for joining, and very good afternoon to all our viewers. Today, I'm logging in from IICSR Eco-Friendly Campus with Arthur from an eco-friendly country, Bali. Arthur is ranked as world's number one influential thought leader in organizational culture for 2021 and 2022. He has written over 13 books, including Amazon's number one new release, Game On, reinventing organizational culture with gamification. He has over 600 licensed directive communication, psychology, leadership, and culture coaches and trained in 28 countries. He's also the founder of Directive Communication Psychology. So, welcome, Arthur. We are all very excited to learn from you about organizational culture in the changing world and about Web3, of course.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Harisha. I'm very glad. I'm glad to be here.
It's an honor to have you with us. So, Arthur, you are one of the leading thought leaders in the world for organizational culture. The present world, post COVID times, is in dilemma on the future of workspace. What are your thoughts, and what should be the organizational culture for future work life culture? Should it be online, offline, hybrid? How do you see it developing?
All right. Well, here's the thing. Okay, people still have an emotional need to be around other people. All right, and it doesn't matter how many Zoom meetings or Web3 things or anything you get. You are still going to be much more creative in a brainstorming session when you're physically with someone and maybe having some tea or coffee or alcohol or whatever it is that you like to have. And the thing is that it is required for organizational evolution to still have the foundations of human interaction. Now, of course, there's also the metaverse, and a lot of things are changing. Or due to new technology, there's a lot of things changing with the metaverse. So, for example, one of the things that we're working on, one of our projects, is called the Global Mentor Exchange. Okay, so here's the thing: is that one of the problems that people have is that when they're working in an environment and whatnot, I mean, there's always people-related problems, right? Okay, I mean, ultimately, you're still going to have arguments, and you're still going to have things that you think about or don't think about, or like this person's like that or whatever, and it doesn't matter whether they're offline or online. Okay, because we're still human beings, we still have this emotional thing. The only thing is, of course, if you're just doing something with Zoom, you don't really get to kind of connect with people, which can also mean you don't have as many problems, but you don't have as many benefits as well. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so with the metaverse, what it allows you to do is it allows you to understand the problems better, because it's like the one that we're doing is AI driven, which ultimately helps to define the problem in a scenario. So how, like, when you're looking to solve a problem in a company, somebody might say, oh, I need leadership training because my people are not really being good leaders or whatever, but in reality that may not be the solution to the problem. So in a metaverse, you can actually recreate, or an AI assisted metaverse, you can recreate the actual problem with avatars running around and recreating the problem. And then the real person can say, yes, they can interact with this problem and say, yes, this is actually what is going on. In which case, then you can actually be connected to the right solutions that experts from all over the world have incorporated into the knowledge base of this AI, so that the AI can say, well, why don't you check out this, and you should think about this and this and this. But all of that is still connected back to real human beings, real consultants, real coaches that will work in the real world. Okay, so So you're connecting the idea of metaverse, and then of course the interaction with people in the metaverse at least gives you a little bit more. If you're going to do training, for example, at least it gives you more ability to do things in a gamified format compared to something where you just have to listen to somebody on a Zoom call.
It's quite an interesting perspective. So I see that in future we may have those glasses, VR glasses and things on those lines. You
Well,
see
you
that
don't.
happening?
Yeah. Okay. You in the future, yes. But remember that right now people that's mainstream is the key. So you have to make it really easy. If it's not easy, people are just not going to go. Okay. And if you have to, wait and do a whole bunch of things with glasses and get everything set up, maybe later in the future when it's easier and when it's cost effective and when everybody's got them, okay. But for now, playing a game like you would in a normal type of, thing would still allow you to interact in the metaverse and connect with other people in at least a more human-like fashion than it would with a simple video call.
I see. Now, you are also the founder of Web3 Global Mentor Exchange and the Wisdom City Learning and Development. You have mentioned a little bit about the accelerating knowledge disbursement. How can it reach the last mile by using the metaverse? And how can that accelerate sustainable development with the help of metaverse?
All right. So first of all, remember that metaverse is just another reality that is not the normal reality. Okay. So, and you need some kind of a connection to it, which would be like a computer, essentially. Now, it could be VR glasses as well, but for now, let's just stick with mainstream and say that it's a computer. So let's just look at the psychology of what is important for people to be motivated. Okay. Number one, any kind of measurement supports motivation. Okay. That means that if this is why like some of these games are addictive, right? You're measured. Oh, I got, I managed to do this. I achieved this. I did this. I got this. And so all of that is essentially a sense of measurement. You are measured by how far you get or what you are able to achieve within a specific metaverse type game, for example. Now, what if we were to take that same concept, but actually taking it into the element of learning, but learning through a story? Okay. So if you're going to be learning anything, say, for example, if you want to be, let's just take something that's really hard to teach. Okay. How about gratitude? Okay. When it comes to things that are out there, that is kind of one of those things. It's just, how do you teach gratitude, right? You can tell people you should be grateful, but ultimately, how do you teach gratitude? And gratitude and things like, being kind and all of these things ultimately are done through stories. Okay. It's not like it's not a skill. It is a reflective element that is connected through stories. And if you connect something like that with leadership skills or creating your own leadership identity, now you have a story that builds the individual to be the best of who they can be because of themselves. And they're interacting within the story, which is only possible in a metaverse type situation. You can't even do this in real life that easily because, unless you put people through difficulties, right? But in a metaverse scenario, you can literally create all kinds of different scenarios that are even job related that can help people to evolve as actual better leaders, not just a skill, but the attitudes and the gratitude and all of these things that are not so easy to teach as a skill.
I see. Um, for a company to adapt sustainable development practices, there is a lot of change management. I would just shift from the knowledge disbursement because I will come back to that. But right now, let's focus on the organizational culture. Now, when a company has to shift towards sustainable development practices, There's a lot of change management process, which is also costly. What are the steps a company should take in order to curtail this, and how do you change the psychology of a person that this would be better in spite of expensive, there would be benefit, because there's a lot of cost benefit analysis that one does. So how do you see we can make that easier for the companies to do organizational culture transformation?
Well, okay, first of all, I mean, a lot of the transformation these days is also related to digital transformation. Now, the problem that most people face is they're looking at the technology without looking at the people. So they think the technology will solve the people problems. But in reality, what happens, see, the thing is, okay, there are people say that that people don't like change. Okay. Now, I don't agree with that. I believe that people don't like stupid shit. Okay. Because if somebody comes up to you, Harsha, and says, here's $1 million, or let's go for 10 million. Okay. And you can have it. It's all, all the taxes have been paid. It's because you did some nice work, 2 years ago and somebody remembered you. And we just want to give you this $10 million. Okay. Change your life. Would you say, no, I'm good. Okay. Or would you take the $10 million, right? That would be creating a lot of change. But people accept change that they think is going to be good for them. So first of all, there's a couple of things. Number one, start with the people and get see the thing is that the senior management usually believes that they know everything because they're smarter, because they're senior managers. And maybe they're super smart. That may be true. But ultimately, the problem that a lot of super smart senior managers have is that not everybody is as smart as they are. And so they're starting to think that everybody's like them and everybody's going to accept it. And we just don't, right? Because, it's the same thing when you get super consultants from McKinsey, because they're all come from Harvard and everything else. Okay, those people don't live in the real world, right? I mean, they're all Harvard graduates and everything else. When it comes down to understanding people like us, the average person, we they just don't get it. And so this is where a lot of people make a mistake, is because they're very smart, they're very intelligent, but they just don't understand the average person, the people that are working. And so by allowing the people who are working to essentially come up with things and create a facilitated process. So as we call this process, the culture evolution process, which is a bottom up process. Now, of course, the top does have their guidelines, but ultimately it is the people who create the changes and can then later on can connect that through any type of technology or anything else. But if you don't let the people start at the bottom and work your way up, I mean, imagine it's like 5 people at the top trying to get 5,000 people at the bottom to accept their ideas, right? Doesn't make sense, right? On the other hand, if you get, say, the 5,000 people that are kind of in line with a certain type of way of doing things, and they're all kind of connected, and then they propose, or at least their representatives propose this to other people or to the senior management, it is a lot easier for senior management to basically say, yes, this works, and we accept it. So what happens? You're back.
No,
So
I'm
what
there. I want your picture.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so what happens is that when, like, for example, when we do the culture evolution process, we find what are called who are called key influencers, right? These are informal leaders. It could be the secretary who's just very supportive to everybody, or it could be the guy that's always making jokes and making people laugh, and or it could be the super pretty girl that all the guys just will do anything for, right? I mean, it can be anybody, even in fact, in one of our experiences, there was a tea lady who was she was like 68 years old, and she was probably the lowest paid of everybody in the company, but she would really listen to people, and she was like everybody's grandmother, and everybody trusted her, and she knew more about what was going on in the company than the CEO, right? So these people are influencers, and people trust and listen to them, and they may not have a leadership role, but the thing is that if you harness the power and influence of these people, and you help those people to connect everybody else, you can create a very successful bottom-up initiative where the people create the culture that is fully acceptable and even potentially even better than what senior management had thought of.
I see. That's a very well said bottom up approach, which is much needed in the times that we live in. So, Arthur, moving from there, you have also ventured into blockchain domain in the travel industry, and you have launched Galileo Travel Futures during the pandemic times, especially. Would you like to share more about it? Does it give any impetus to sustainable tourism? If so, please do share.
Well, actually, it wasn't a tour. It was that venture was specifically because there was no tourism. So tourists, or even potential tourists, were not spending any money on potential travel because there was just too much uncertainty. But investors, they actually can understand a market and basically knew that when tourism goes up, I mean, it goes up, right? I mean, it will go up. It's like so the pandemic was the equivalent of, in a stock market, buying low and then waiting for tourism to come back where you could sell high. So what we did was we created NFTs that were travel experiences that could be sold, traded, or redeemed. Okay, and they didn't just include just like room stays. Some of them included many other things like like massage and pickups and all that kind of stuff, and even with like police escorts to your castle and everything. So all of these things were sold at a price that was pandemic, and we sold over 700 room nights. When nobody was buying any pandemics, but we didn't sell them to tourists. We sold them to investors who now are actually making some good money because tourism has come back, and it's about 5 times more expensive than what it used to be. So even if they sell it at 4 times what they bought their NFTs for, they're making money.
Can I get some?
Well, not anymore. Pandemic's over, baby. You should have been there early. now you can get them at the basic level, maybe slightly cheaper, but it's not as expensive. It's
Okay. That sounds good. But Arthur, how strong are you on the Web3? Because lately, if you have seen, there have been many scandals around it, including the FTX, Mr. Bank also getting arrested in Bahamas. So there have been such dubious cases in the past. So how do you see that there will be safety in future? It's not only for this interview purpose, but also I would like to know more about this.
there's no safety. Okay. Right now you have WhatsApp, you're going to try to get scammers. You have crypto, you're going to try to get scammers. You have people come to your house, and I had somebody call me telling me that my son had been into an accident at school, and it was interesting because at that specific day, my son actually had a stomachache and stayed home from school. And they wanted money and all of this stuff. And it's like, so that they could bring him to the hospital. It doesn't matter where you are, what platform, there's always going to be scammers. Okay, you've probably received some emails from Prince Ubuntu from Nigeria that's going to give you $5 million for helping him get some stuff, right? I mean, it's all there. The only thing that'll help you essentially is education. I mean, don't put your secret keys into anybody's website that you don't know. Don't give your secret keys away. Don't send people money that you don't know and they're not legitimate. They're not real people. I mean, in my case, I'm fortunate because I have a global brand. People know me. I live in a very conspicuous place, Avalon Castle, and you can't just pick up and run away. So the projects that we do are ultimately connected to the development in some way. Like, for example, one of our other projects is the Lemuria project. So we have a mountain next door that's a tourist related real estate, and what we've done is we've tokenized the real estate. So that means we're selling a small percentage of the real estate, which people will be able to, and then we manage the real estate. So that way it's not considered a security. And then people that have these NFTs for this little bit of real estate will get a percentage of gross ticket sales from the Lemuria the Lemuria project, which is essentially tourism kind of thing where it's all these secret passages carved into this stone mountain, and you have to find your way through in order to evolve as an enlightened human being and a guardian of humanity. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, you're putting the website link in here in the poster comment, so we all can be a part of this.
Okay, let me share it with you. Lemuria. Lemuria.asia. Is that right? Lemuria.asia. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So that one is.
I want to be a FOMO in this also, you see.
Yeah. This one right now is in private sale. So it's kind of like the ones that we did with the travel, okay, before. So now you get to have this. So this is profit sharing until the end of 2035.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing this. My next question to you is, you've been active on gamification tools. So which one would you suggest, especially for the organizational culture?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm biased because we created our own behavior gamification tool. It's called Squadly. Okay. And here, let me put that in there too. Okay. Squadly.com. Okay. So Squadly is there's supposed to be a dot after the www, but whatever. Anyway, the Squadly is see, here's the thing. Okay. Work gamification in its standard perspective is about points. It's about achieving targets. It's about all these different things. Unfortunately, most of the things that are measured take a long time to measure, right? So what ends up happening is that people are not able to sustain it because right now, we're in the age of instant, right? The post Facebook era. Okay, instant message, instant everything. So if your boss doesn't give you the emotional satisfaction of in your work, it's okay. You give your phone, you post a picture of a kitten on Facebook, and then you get 100 likes in 20 minutes, and you feel good about yourself. Okay, so it's all still about measurement. It's still so if you look at work gamification, it's nothing more than performance measurement done quickly, easily, and regularly, but in a fun way. Okay, so that's work gamification, and there's a whole psychology. You can there's my latest book, which you said Game On. That one is gives you the whole psychology behind it. But in essence, here's the thing: reverse engineer the objectives into behaviors. Okay, that means if you're going to try to achieve X, what are the behaviors that will ultimately help you achieve X? Okay, and of course, not doing those behaviors can be considered a negative thing. So, for example, if being proactively communicating with other people, if I'm quiet and I don't tell you what's going on, then I would get potentially a negative emoji related to my behavior in that specific category. Okay. But on the other hand, if I do go out and try to explain something, then I would get maybe a positive emoji. But see, that's something that can be measured every day, and it can be measured in less than 20 seconds. Okay. Now, the other thing that's important in word gamification is resurrection. Okay. Like in a normal shooting game, for example, if you're out there and you're shooting, boom, 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 and then you turn right and then you get shot and die. Okay. So then, when you're resurrected, next time I shouldn't turn right, I should turn left. And so therefore you have new experience that is going to help you to be more successful. So see, what happens in a lot of these gamified work processes that people are trying to do is they gamify all these objectives, and all these people there's like 5 or 10 people that are always ahead. And so because they're always ahead, everybody else, they just feel like there's no choice. They can't, they don't have a chance. So by restarting over and over again, okay, like every week, for example, you have a resurrection period, which means that everybody starts from zero, and now everybody is able to go ahead and learn from their experience from the previous week of what behaviors work and how to get more points and so on, so that they can get on these various lists. The other thing, of course, because we want to help people to win, is not only measure individuals, but you also measure teams, and you measure the entire organizational culture evolution, so that, of course, everybody is a part of it.
That's very interesting to learn from you. Now, from gamification, I would take you to circular economy. You are based in the beautiful Bali, a beautiful paradise and an example of a sustainable development and a circular economy. What is your take on circular economy, and how are you as an individual practicing it in your daily life?
Wow. Well, that's a difficult question. First of all, you have to understand that I had a firsthand observation of being in a pandemic where 82% of the population have tourism-related jobs. Okay, so the economy literally was completely destroyed. Now, still, mind you, because especially in Bali, because here the villages essentially take care of everybody and try to, make sure everybody is connected, and there's everybody helps everybody else. But still, remember that when there's no money coming in, and then people lost their cars, people lost all kinds of things that they had kind of gotten used to. But it got people to be very creative, and even in some cases, remember that at least because people live with their families, and families at least have some land which can produce some kind of crops and everything else. So people then started to also do trading of crops, rice for other things, and so on, which also, of course, helped to keep the sustainability, where at least people didn't die. But the thing is that and people were more creative, trying to figure out other stuff. But it wasn't, everybody thought, oh, the pandemic maybe will last 6 months, and then it was a year, and then it was 2 years, and then it was 2.5 years, and people were having, there was a lot of people that were depressed, a lot of other issues that affected the economy as well as the society itself.
Well, it would be great if we could have some specific examples also, maybe of the daily things that you may be using, and how do you dispose them, especially um, everything is wrapped in plastic or metals or ceramics. So how do you dispose them?
Well, okay. First of all, one of the things that was done through the pandemic that was really good was that people. Well, actually, this one guy, Jagan, he came up with this plastic uh, rice for plastic thing. So he got together with all the villages, and basically for every 2 kilograms of plastic that people would gather, they would get like some rice, right? And so you had all these villages around Bali literally collecting plastic that was then, recycled and put into all these different things. And then they also started to create compost buckets out of the recycled plastic for other things that were, in order to create compost, which was then later on used for crops and things like that. So just just the idea, again, just the creativity of the sustainability elements for helping the people to, well, also be, eat essentially, to by cleaning up the place itself. And there were organizations and villages that were donating all the rice in order to make this happen. So it was one of the initiatives that's really helped Bali a lot.
Yes, Bali is pretty well known for its circular economy initiatives. Moving from there, I would ask you, while you are advising on organizational culture, which you are most of the times, organization culture transformation, a company also undergoes many ethics related challenges. Would you like to share some of the difficult examples you may have witnessed, and how did you help your clients to navigate that path?
Wow. Okay. Well, okay. I mean, one of the key things that people have is there is ego, ultimately, right? So when we've worked with, first of all, there is a criteria for the companies that we can work with. And one of those is that senior management must be involved. So usually the senior management is okay. But unfortunately, sometimes you have some of the people below senior management that are still very full of themselves and have a difficult time to kind of let other people that are below them give them advice or recommend things or anything or change the way that they're doing, because ultimately part of the culture change initiative is the creation of the ideal work environment. And it's actually very predictable, okay, because we've done this in, like or we've done this we've done the culture programs in 28 different countries, and each of these are, it doesn't matter where we do this, and we've done research in 57 different countries. CEOs to janitors, different age groups, different education. Everybody wants the same thing when it comes down to the ideal working environment. They want teamwork. They want some kind of trust, okay, which is related to either being trusted or being able to trust others. Clarity, which comes in the form of essentially understanding what they need to do to be successful and be valuable to the organization. And of course, there is the supportive environment where they can go to other people and regardless of what department they're in, to actually work together to get things done. And of course, fun. People want to enjoy and have fun at work. So these 5 things are things that people generally come up with when we ask them what the ideal work environment is. And it doesn't matter where they are or how old they are or what their job is. And so what we do is we create this opportunity for people to do that. But the problems where people are creating this, sometimes it takes the power away from other people. And this is where, sometimes we get resistance. And then when it comes to key influencers, there's 2 types. There's the positive key influencer and the negative key influencer. Now, one of the things about the negative key influencer is that they're not necessarily bad people or negative people. They may be really wanting to help people. In fact, one of the government organizations we had a negative key influencer. She was very ambitious for herself, and she was very nice. But she advocated, hey, everybody, it doesn't matter whether your work is done. You all have families. You should go home, and if the organization can't survive, without you spending extra time to finish your work, then the organization shouldn't be here. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, you're right. We should spend time with our families. And and she was very powerful, but not in a way that was positively affecting the organization or the people themselves, because the people that listened to her essentially never got promoted. So you've got different types of negative key influencers. There's the ones that are so egocentric where, they want to still maintain control. And then there's the ones that want to help people in such a way that it actually hurts the company. So those are the two biggest challenges, I think, that we were facing.
Yes, indeed. Arthur, it has been wonderful learning from your experiences and knowing your viewpoints and all the work that you're doing in Web3 and organizational culture. Would you have a message to all our viewers and all our students and all the people who will watch this in the recorded session?
Wow, a message. Okay, so first of all, ultimately, the message is that technology is not a replacement for human beings. It is simply there to support us being better human beings and more connected human beings. And technology, AI, the metaverse, all of this stuff that is being built out. If it doesn't support you to be a better person and feel good about yourself and feel valuable, then it's not really going to, it may last, but ultimately think about this, okay? The kind of, what do you want your children to be, okay? Do you want them to be addicted to the screen on a regular basis and just getting, their emotional gratification through interaction with non-really living things? Or do you want them to have real fulfilling relationships and a full life? So you decide, okay, how you want to use technology, because technology can be brilliant. It can be fantastic. It can help you to evolve, or it can help you to devolve. So you decide.
It's a very interesting statement. Technology could help you to evolve or devolve. Thank you so much, Arthur. It has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time and sharing all your knowledge. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you everyone for logging in. Before I log out, I will show you our campus a little. So I'll just take a small turn around. These are some of our students hanging out. And we have our postgraduate program admissions going on. So in case if you are interested, our second batch starts from February last week, and we do look forward to receiving your applications. Thank you so very much. Have a great day and Merry Christmas.